Hey guys, I'm back here again. Got another quick video for you. One of my subscribers asked me to do a quick video detailing like an HRX machine versus a steel deck machine. So I had some time over here because we had a client drop off two machines over here, and we have the two machines over here, the two HRXs on their left hand side, and I have the Honda HRC over here for comparison purposes as well too. The person wanted me to highlight, basically the the features in general and stuff like that. So the first thing is the HRX ones we have right here. This one right here, I believe, is about 2 or 3 years old. The customer told me they bought it about 3 years old, so the machine's at least 3 years old for this one. The second one right here, this one's relatively brand new. I think it's about a couple years old because a person told me the warranty ran out on this one right here. And this one right here, this is a 2006 Honda HRC 216 right here, 4 reference points as well too. So the main thing is your HRX one right here, they typically have a plastic or call it like a polymer style deck on these machines out there. It mainly came up with that for like weight saving purposes and stuff like that. That's why they have that type of deck on this one right here. It's the Versa system, the 4-in-1 design right here for that, so you can mulch, bag, and stuff like that on it. I don't know why they call it that, but me personally, it's just better to bag up your whole yard on it, because when you bag up your whole yard, you don't have any kind of clumps from having any kind of debris like clumping up, because we see a lot of people in our area, they don't like to bag their yard. They try to set their machine as low as humanly possible on the height adjustment. But this guy right here, he got his machine set on number 1 right here for the height adjustment right here for that. And because of that, we were basically testing out the machine over here a couple days ago, and it was just clumping up like crazy in my yard over here, my test area we had over here. And unfortunately, we always recommend to use a machine. You just use a bagger out there for that. Don't mulch it, because the problem is mulching. It clogs up your whole deck underneath there, because your machine's trying to recut and cut the same old stuff over and over and over again on there. So it's a better idea just to simply use your bagger, like the Honda HRC 216 one has right here. Just use your bagger out there, because the machine's basically sucking up the grass and shooting it directly into the bagger, so it's not trying to rehash the same old stuff over and over and over again on there. And that's what happens when it does happen like that. The deck starts getting clogged up and more out there, and it just eventually gets totally packed underneath your deck on there for that. So the other features we have right here is these engines right here. The engine on the machine, they have the Honda overhead cam engine right here. This one is their older valve cover design on here for that. You can see that one right here. We'll do a comparison between that one and the other one. The other one over here, you have a more we'll call flat one right here in the front right here. You don't have a big bulbous lip on the logo. This one has the Honda name stamped directly on the cover right there. This one only has the overhead cam stamp right here. You have a slightly elliptical design right here for that as well too. The other thing is each one has the typical auto choke on these ones right here. This one even has the auto choke badge still on here, so they both have the auto choke style unit on these machines right here as well too. The other one right here, it's a manual choke right here, so you have your full control up on your handle in the back up here for your throttle and control of the choke unit. That's the preferred way for like a commercial application right there for that. Plus this one is the overhead valve as opposed to the overhead cam models on these ones right here. They're both overhead cam, and then the overhead valve one right here. The good thing about the overhead valve one is the cylinder head can be removed on a machine on here. The cylinder head on these ones right here, your two right here, it's an integral part of the whole engine on there. Any way to take the valves out of the machine would be by taking the engine off the machine, splitting the case, taking the crankshaft and anything else, take the cylinder out or take the piston out of the cylinder bore, and physically removing the actual valve directly out from the cylinder bore by pulling it straight out from the integral part of the cylinder head, because the cylinder head on these ones is basically integral to the whole the whole engine on it. For that, you do not have a separate cylinder head on the machine right here for these overhead cam engines for that. The other features on the back here, you have your knob on the back of the machine right here for controlling of the bag and the mulch on here as well too. You have your bag and mulch right here, your knob. This one has the same thing over here as well too. Same thing on that one. This one does not have the knob on the back here. It's simply a bagger on the back here. There's no knob or switch or anything else like that rotate it around. Me personally, like I said before, I recommend keeping it in the bag position right there for that, because if you don't, like I said before, these things tend to clog up on the back right here. We'll show you the back portion of the unit right here. We've seen a lot of these machines where they clog up where the actual plate moves underneath here. You have the plate that rotates back and forth underneath there. That's that piece where all the grass is clumped up right there. What happens is that piece starts getting packed full of debris right there, and and because of the plastic deck on there, you have a lot more moving parts versus the steel deck. And what happens is over time is that area gets all packed up underneath there, and your knob might not want to move on there. This one right here, we did have to take out the plate. We did have to take the plate off in this one right here because it was getting clogged up extremely bad, and we had to replace the plate and also the fork that engages the mulch and the bag knob right here as well too, because the guy's main complaint on this one right here, he kept on saying the bagger, or I should say the mulch and a bag knob would not function, and we found out the plate was damaged underneath there, and also the fork that engages the whole rotating mechanism underneath there to actuate the the door in the back door was not functioning correctly. So we had to order one of those things in from the factory. That's why I mainly prefer having like a steel deck, because a steel deck, you have a lot less complexity with the whole deck situation on here. With these plastic decks out there, you might save some weight out there, but me personally, I recommend sticking with the steel deck out there, because I'm a fan of the steel deck versus the plastic one, because unfortunately the plastic ones, there seem to be more wear items on there. It's more complicated out there as well too. Plus, if you have some kind of contact with a rock or something else like that, it might go through a deck out there versus maybe only dinging up the actual deck on it if you have a steel deck. Because if you have a plastic deck like this and you run over a brick or a pipe or something else like that, there's a high likelihood that it may go through the casing on here, because all this is like a polymer plastic, guys. That's my recommendation right there. If you were worried about hitting something in your yard out there, just buy a steel deck out of, because you never know, you might hit something in your yard. Because this one right over here hit a I think it was a small rock, and all it did was put a little dent right here down the side. That's all I did, put a little dent over there. But other than that, it's still okay, because if the same thing happened to these these xenoloy or the polymer, or whatever you want to call them, decks out there, it would go right through it, and you have a big crack or a big hole somewhere over here or somewhere on the other side over here, and you don't want to have that, because a crack might eventually start spreading, because what it'll do is it'll probably weaken the whole structure of the deck. And that's why these machines have to be totally reinforced in the area where the engine mates to the actual deck assembly. So we'll go ahead and flip that one over here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, where the deck is totally reinforced underneath here. So let me get this one out of the way here. We'll flip this one over here and show you that. You flip this thing up here. Okay. Here's your deck assembly underneath here. You have a lot more complicated deck design on this one right here. You have this big, rotating ring underneath here as well too, that actually engages and disengages for your, door. You have a door in the back here, and the door open and closed, and that's how you get your mulch or the rear discharge right there for that. What happens over time is this plate gets like totally caked up underneath here and clogged, and your whole mechanism does not want to function correctly for your bag and your mulch under for that. That's why I really don't personally like this kind of design, where the whole deck assembly has to be totally reinforced. You have a more complex baffle system underneath here for this type of a design as well too, guys. That's my personal opinion right there for that. And we'll show you how that functions right there. Let me see, get my hand over here and do that at the same time here. We'll move the knob, and we'll show you the deck here functioning. This whole reset, let me see, get a better angle here. See, the whole thing rotates right here. It's like so. Whole thing rotates so it closes off the baffle plate underneath here, and you have this big ring inside right here. And what happens is over time is this whole deck gets like totally packed full of debris if you mulch it all the time. And what happens is it limits the ability and the function to have this thing function correctly out there for that. Versus if you have a steel deck and you have the steel deck version of these Honda lawnmowers, all they have is a plastic flapper valve that goes in place right here. You have a plastic flapper valve, and it has a rod that goes straight down to the deck. On a steel deck, it goes straight down. You just rotate it back and forth, and the less likelihood of ever clogging up versus having this plastic complex, locking, where locks close the door on here for that. So we'll rotate that back up here again. Show you that. Let me see if I can get my hand over here better. Sorry about the angle here. There we go. Open it back up. So there it is, open back up again. Yeah, it just has a lot of debris. Just basically gets packed up inside here, and that's one of the things I don't personally like about this, this type of plastic deck out there for it. It just, in my personal opinion, it should have never, been made. The only reason they came up with this design is because people wanted something lighter out there. And the problem is when you have something lighter out there, you have to totally reinforce in all the critical areas. Plus, you also have to have a new, different design for the actual baffle system under here as well too. This guy really screwed up the blades on here. The blades are looked like he tried to grind them himself on here and didn't even want to take them off. And he got a weird grind. It's all angular over here, and it looks like he tried to take some kind of little small grind and just grind the whole edge on it. So he really did a botched job on his machine here. So we're probably going to put new blades on this guy's lawnmower anyway as well too, because I'm not going to sharpen those things and try to do a half ASS job. I'm just going to put new blades on and call it a day. So that's your differences right there primarily. Can flip that back down. Okay, the last thing we'll try to talk about here is your rear self-propelled. Let me move this thing over here for you. There we go. Get them close as possible here. And in the back right here, the older design right here has the thumb grip. You have this little thumb grip right here. You can manipulate that by putting your thumb on here on each side, left hand, right hand. And you can also adjust the controls here. You can move that down. You have this little control adjuster here. You can put it down as low as you want. Put it down there. You can move it back up. Put it up higher. The newer ones right here have a more complicated one right here. You have like a bigger thumb pad area, if you want to call it, right here. It's more flat and elongated versus this one right here. All you have is your little thumb pad area where you can put your fingers on here. With this one right here, you got a bigger area to grab at versus this one right here where it hurts your thumb. I had multiple people who actually had these kind of machines right here. They were telling me that over time, after running their machine for about a half an hour, their whole thumb starts really hurting, I guess, in their main part right here, because you're always pushing down on this thumb here, and it starts hurting I guess your wrist or your I really don't know, because I don't know one of these machines. I'm just telling you what I heard from customers, and they kept on saying it was hurting in their hand right there. And I think that's why Honda might have went to this newer design right here for that. And that's another. They call it a Honda Select Drive, and the other one right here is called a Smart Drive Adjustable right here for that. All it does is you push it up and down, and that's all it does on here. And you can adjust your position on here as well too, so you can move it down there. Do that. This one right here, it does have the another option where you have this I'm going to call speed adjust on your control. You have your max setting right here, and then you have your min setting up here. What that does is, all it does is it just moves it closer to the actual bar. It doesn't really do any kind of other function other than that. It just moves it closer here, so it's closer to the bar, and then you can open it back up on here. and you have a more, it's basically putting more tension on the actual cable, even though you already have an adjustment done on the actual cable right there as well too. So you basically have two adjustments. You have your primary adjustment on your drive cable right down here. You need a 10 millimeter to take this thing apart on here. You have adjustment right here, and you also have your additional adjustment up here to put more tension to bring the actual cable out, so you can put more tension directly onto the cable assembly, you know, to tighten up the belt more if you want to have a faster or more positive speed out there for your machine right there for that. So that's basically everything about those two designs right there. And a comparison with the other machine over here, the micro cut steel deck one over here as well too. Like I said before, me personally, I would advise, you know, buying a steel deck machine as opposed to the plastic one. The only upside you're getting with the plastic one is you're having a machine that's going to be a little bit lighter out there and easier to maneuver. However, long term, I really don't trust them having a plastic deck on it myself, because plastic tends to warp and break over time, versus having a steel deck out there where steel is not going to have that problem. It's going to hold up better. It's not going to have a lot of vibration in there. And if you do run over a brick or a stump or a stone or a rock or something, there'll be less likelihood of ever having any kind of problems, you know, getting any kind of damage done to the deck right there for that. So here's a shot of the back of the handle right here as well too. This is the commercial HRC version. You got your throttle up here. You got your speed. You got your blade control up here. It's your blade control, and you have your transmission speed right here for your clutch right here as well too. So that's comparing like your HRC commercial duty ones versus your you know, lower entry level machines like this one for like your occasional use only, and this is the older occasional use only one here as well too for that. So that's, we can, you know, go on basically a comparison. These ones go for about I think about $400 or $500 right here for that. These two models right here for about, I'd say between $400 to $500 give or take out there if you buy them at the end of the season when they have some kind of like a, you know, 10% off, 15% off, because most of the time people want to buy them at the end of the season, so you might be able to save a few bucks on them out there for that. So I'd say on average in my area it's about $400 to $500. If you get some kind of a rebate or some kind of in-store special or price or whatever you want to call it out there for that, for the HRX 217 version right here for that. The other, the HRC one we have right here, that's the HRC 216. These things typically retail for about $1,200 right there, no joke. It's a commercial duty machine right there for that. It's built like a tank, and it should run perfectly fine for at least 15 to 20 years out there for that, as long as you don't leave them outside and you know, abuse them out there as well too. So that's my review, guys, for the three types of Honda machines we had over here this past week. So feel free to drop me a message here if anybody has any questions about any of them over here, or if I might have skipped something or I missed something you want me to talk about. Other than that, just drop me a message and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you. Have a nice day.